Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ferndale City Council meeting for Monday, November 27, 2017. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Leaks May.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Pollica.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Piana. And Mayor Coulter.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum this evening.
Your Honor, I'd like to move to excuse Mayor Pro Tem Piana.
Is there support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Next item of business would be the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda with the amendment of moving number 6, call to audience, to just before public hearing. So it would be 5 and change public hearing to number 6.
Any other changes?
Support.
All right. Moved by Pollica, supported by Martin. Any comments on the agenda? Great. Marnie, would you call the roll again?
Council members Martin.
Yes.
Pollica.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes.
And Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The agenda is adopted as amended. Moving on now to presentations, and we have a couple presentations this evening, including we'll start off with our county commissioner, who joins us regularly to tell us about all the great things happening in Oakland County.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody, beyond Small Business Saturday, Oakland County has a incentive program for shopping local. And it began last Saturday and goes for a week, and you can take your local receipts and apply to win prizes through Oakland County up to $5,000. Wow. And to learn more about how to do this, you can go to the OakGov website, www.oakgov.com. It's on the front page. There's a link. It'll give you instructions. And I'm really excited that they extended it beyond just the Saturday, and it's really to encourage people to shop locally. I want to talk about a vote that I took recently that some people might perceive as controversial, but I stand behind it. We were asked as the Board of Commissioners to add on a 20th Circuit Court position. And there's no question in my mind that we do need a 7th judge in the family court. The numbers support that. Previously, the probate court judges, and they're still willing to provide family court services, which helped with the demand of that. I voted against the 20th judge because I still feel that we have capacity within our existing judicial system to serve the needs of the residents. And the cost of adding on a new judge, we already have a facilities issue where we really need to improve courtrooms for ADA, and the idea of building a new courtroom would cost us in running it about $1 million a year. And so I can't fiscally say that it was the right decision at this time, even though I know that people want, more judges in family court. However, it was a vote that split down party lines, so there were 14 votes in favor, and so far the judgeship will go forward. But it won't start until 2019, and the reason we were told that we took vote on it so that people can file to run for office in 2018. I just wanted to explain that. Any questions for me?
Any questions?
Thank you. I wish everybody happy holidays.
Good to see you. Thank you. Happy holidays. Good. Our second presentation is the DDA Business Support Strategy, and I see Barry Hicks, our Executive Director of the DDA. Good evening, Barry.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Before I get started on this presentation, I just wanted to make 2 brief announcements. First of all, with regard to Small Business Saturday, I wanted to thank everyone that came out this past weekend for Small Business Saturday, and a big thanks to Level 1 Bank for bringing out their cash mob. They handed out $1,000 to shoppers to spend locally in our beautiful downtown. Also, I want to thank the Rust Belt Market for allowing us to set up and use some space in their store. We were able to hand out about 400 business Saturday shopping bags, as well as a lot of other different prizes and goodies that were in some of those bags. And so I just wanted to say big thanks to them, and also to the over 50 businesses that we had that were offering specials that day as well to make that event successful. I was going to mention the Oakland County Shopper Contest, but you just heard about that, so I won't repeat that information. However, there's also, if you haven't already done so, there is a contest locally here through the DDA, a scavenger hunt. Don't forget, you can turn in your entry forms, and the easiest way to do that is take a photo of it and just email it to info@downtownferndale.com. And if you do that by 4 p.m. this Friday, December 1st, you'll be entered to win a prize. Also coming up soon is, don't forget to join us on Saturday, December 9th for the Holiday Ice Festival, brought to you by Krieger Plumbing and Ferndale Mobile. Treats will be made available for purchase, which will support the Ferndale Arts and Cultural Commission. We will also be joined by Michigan's Fallen, where you will be able to spread the holiday cheer by creating cards for a soldier or a veteran. The festivities begin at 10 a.m. that day, and they go into the afternoon, usually around 4 p.m. We will be welcoming Santa and his reindeer to downtown Ferndale. You can bring your wish list and your whole family down for a free photo with Santa. There will be hay rides, hot cocoa, and lunch with Santa at Rosie O'Grady's at 1 p.m. And there will also be 50 or more unique ice sculptures. In fact, I believe we've already hit the 50 numbers, and we're going over at this point for sign-ups, including 5 live carvings that will be done that day. I'd also like to note that this year the festival has moved. It used to be, instead of closing down Planavon Street between West 9 Mile and Withington as we've done in the past, the street will remain open, and you will be able to find us in the Planavon parking lot between Hungry Howie's and Schramm's Mead, just south of where the former local kitchen was, soon to be the new Detroit Axe, where that is located. And that is also to help support the free valet that will be going on that weekend from noon to 9 p.m., Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And also, don't forget to use the promo code GOFERNDALE if you are going to be using Lyft and you are a new customer and would like to come down, and you can receive up to $10 off on your ride. So, those are my promotional announcements.
Can I ask you a quick question then, just on all of that?
Yes.
And great job on Saturday. I think the downtown was hopping and jumping, and Level 1 in particular. That was a very generous gift that they made. How did the valet service go over? Was it well received? Was it used? Did people? I just didn't have a perception of it, and just curious. I know it was sort of our first attempt at doing that, and there's going to be more valet to come. Or Joe? Or yeah, I'm sorry, I did.
Yeah, the initial reports, we didn't receive high utilization. We want to get some more utilization going into the next weekend. So we are going to be circling around as a staff with the DDA to get some feedback from the businesses. We got some feedback from Star Tracks today, and we're going to see what measures we can put in place to see if we can uptick some utilization going into next weekend. But hopefully the more word of mouth promotion we can get out there, the more we can encourage the public to use it as they come downtown.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on those events? Or okay.
No.
So I just wanted to kind of walk through something tonight. Before I get started, though, I just want to say thank you to Oakland County through their Main Street program. They provided $5,000 in funding as part of our tech visit this year to help create some of the content and things you're about to see, and that will continue to assist with some of our social media strategy going forward. So I know Alex Rittrew is here from Oakland County, and I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank them for their participation.
Thank you.
So what we're looking at here, I went to the www.downtownferndale.com website, and we've made a couple of changes. I know people have been asking a little bit about what are we doing to help businesses, what kind of things are going on downtown, particularly with regard with what's happening with the DOT project.
Yep.
And you'll see a new tab in the upper right-hand corner right there that I'm hovering over, and when you click on that, that will take you to some of the new content. This is brand new, just went up today, actually. On here, you get a couple of different options to go look at. This talks a little bit about the development itself and what some of the different benefits are, information that we know as an overview to the DOT project. And then you can also click over here on this menu to the right, and it will give you a little bit more information. Just some quick facts about some of the numbers that are being used to describe what's going on with the project here. Also, one thing to keep an eye on, you can sign up for notifications at ferndale.com, which actually brings you over to this website, which you've seen before, and you can go and sign up to get alerts as to what's going on. So if people are asking, how do I find out what the latest and greatest news with the DOT is, that's one way that they can figure that out. And then also, we will continue to update the website I'm showing you right now. The next section talks a little bit about how we're going to be communicating. In here, we have, again, a link over to the DOT website, but then we also talk about our Ferndale Forward brand, which is what we are currently using right now and is the official title for our monthly newsletter. We are putting out this month and next month more than one newsletter, actually, so I guess it'll be a twice-a-month newsletter for a little while, and that will be utilized as needed, too, throughout the construction. Particularly, we want to make sure we highlight the DOT in each one of those issues, kind of giving updates as to where things stand, particularly when construction gets going. But also, we'll be talking a little bit about some of the other projects that are happening around downtown through that. But if anybody's interested in signing up for the email, if you actually scroll up and where it says Consumer Newsletter, you can click on that, and it'll bring you over to this page where you can sign up as a resident or as someone who's interested in coming downtown, or maybe you want to volunteer or you're opening a business, and you can sign up for our e-news right there. And that is a good way to get up-to-date information on what is happening downtown. Some of the other things I want to talk about are about a strategy for what we're doing to help the businesses and communicate with that community throughout the project. Since we don't have an official start date yet for the project, as you're well aware, some of these things won't be implemented right away, but as we get closer to that launch date, you're going to start seeing a few of these things happen. I'd like to give a minimum of at least a once-a-month update meeting to the various business owners. A few of them have expressed interest in something like this, where we can go sit down, have kind of a Q&A session, that sort of thing, and it could change venues throughout the duration of the project. Also, one thing that's been really helpful the past year were our retention visits, and I want to thank our business development team that really helped go out and do some of those. We were able to visit all 60 of the businesses that are closest by and are going to be most impacted by this project, and in doing so, we were able to get a lot of information in their hands. We got a lot of hard copy information distributed, gave people an opportunity to ask questions. I brought a lot of that feedback back to Joe and back to everybody else that's been working on this project right now. And then, again, I mentioned the Ferndale website, our social media page. For those of you that aren't already signed up with our Facebook page, you can get on there and like or follow us, and we will continue to post updates on there as well. And then also, I will have more information about text message alerts linked onto this page coming soon, although I believe you can already sign up for those on ferndale.com. Right now there's a sign-up form that takes phone numbers at this point. And this will also be another way, if you're a business owner and you're listening to this out there, encouraging vendors to sign up for some of this stuff too, for the emails and for text messaging services would be very important. It's hard to communicate with all the vendors that come down here. There are hundreds of them, but so that they know when maybe potential road closures or street closures will be happening, or rerouting or any of that kind of thing. This would be another place to go, and we'll continue to push and promote that as things go forward as well. The next section I wanted to look at was business support, and this we've talked a little bit about in the past, but so I'll just recap real quickly. We work with a lot of different collaborative partners. In particular, we have a few resources through Main Street, Oakland County, and through Oakland County's Economic Development Department that we're able to work with for new and startup businesses. As you're well aware, people who are new startup businesses or small businesses can also work through the Build Institute, which this council graciously has decided to work with going forward to provide services to small businesses in terms of figuring out how to write a business plan and how to get a loan and all those different questions that you ask yourself as a small business owner and don't always know the answer to. So that's a great resource as well. Also, the DDA throughout the entire duration of the DOT project will plan on holding events for the different business sectors. Some of you, if you may remember, back in late 2016, the National Main Street program came in through another one of our tech visits with Oakland County to provide what our major business sectors were, how many businesses were in each, who they were. We wanted to use that information to continue to target different business sector specific events. We've done one of these already in the past, just kind of as a pilot. It went pretty well, so we're going to continue to do that to try to draw customers in to learn about our businesses that are down here as well. And then, of course, safety. This is something that came up during a public meeting I had attended back in October at one of the businesses. A lot of people were concerned about making sure that emergency services still have access to all those buildings in that area and can still get around. So, of course, we'll continue to work with the Ferndale Fire and Police Departments and make sure that all of that is being supported. Also, questions when we have all this construction going on, how do you get around downtown? Well, some of them we've talked about a little bit. First of which are trying to find and identify additional parking lots, one of which is on your consent agenda tonight with the Methodist Church, which provides 65 spaces. Thank you, 65 spaces, as well as continuing to find ways to promote and push the valet services, which were complimentary this past weekend and will be again over Holiday Ice. And then the ride-sharing services I talked about through Lyft. That's what the promo is for now. However, probably by next February or March, we'll get a different promo going with Lyft as well, and more details will be coming on that. And then also, it's important to acknowledge the other non-motorized ways of getting downtown. And if anyone's interested and you click on our bike, it will take you to Ferndale Moves that talks all about all of the different transportation options to get in and around downtown Ferndale. One thing that's really important to note, the reason all this is living online is because I look at it as a living, breathing thing. As we get more information or we know when start dates are or we start to be able to schedule some of those business team meetings, we can update all this stuff through this website to make sure that people have a resource they can always bookmark and check back with to kind of get some of that information. That's just a gallery. And then finally, there's kind of a development map that we've started assembling, and this can be updated over time as well. You can zoom in and find out where the different parking lot locations are. You can see there's the dot, the location of the development on Troy. You can also look at some things like Ferndale House, get a little bit of information about that, what's going on with that construction project, and so on and so forth. And as we add any additional information that we think would be useful to include in a map, this is not static. We can change this as much as we'd like to get the information out that we want. It's just another resource we can use. And with that, I have one other thing. I wanted to introduce Pulp Detroit to talk about social media strategy. But before we bring them up, are there any questions on this portion?
Are there any questions of council?
No, this is the information we've been asking for, so I really appreciate you bringing it. This is well presented.
Yeah, it's helpful to see.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Great.
I want to introduce Anthony Morrow from Pulp Detroit. They helped put our website here together.
Great.
And they're also working kind of behind the scenes at the moment on a social media strategy, and I will let Anthony talk about what that is exactly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Barry said, this is really exciting, so we appreciate being a part of this. I'll just give you a brief overview on what we're doing to approach the social strategy. Because it is fluid, we don't have a start date yet. We have just laid out basically a content calendar of things, features that we want to do. A lot of it, I would say 90% of it is geared toward highlighting the businesses. They're the ones that are going to be impacted, the ones that might not be impacted. But overall, utilizing that Ferndale, extending that Ferndale Forward branding and highlighting those businesses. Also using it as a tool for awareness in terms of, not just having bland, here's a parking tip. We're going to combine a lot of that with a weekend preview of things that are going to happen in the city, and then also where you could park, the valet program, things of that nature. So just to give you just a quick overview, some of the features, we're going to be doing a weekly construction progress update that will be visually driven, photos, whatnot, up to the moment, maybe some Instagram videos of things as they're happening. We're going to do event and happy hour spotlights to keep that thriving in terms of, the city's still happening even though there's development projects going on. And then twice a week we're going to be highlighting a business. And it'll be multi photos, several photos inside the business, exterior, interior, things going on behind the scenes, the actual business owner, and then highlighting something, whether it's retail, the products, food-driven, cocktails, things of that nature. We're going to do a Throwback Thursday, this is all moving forward, but we also want to talk about Ferndale's rooted in being progressive and the change and whatnot throughout the years. So we'll do something like that on a Thursday with a Throwback Thursday. And then again, the weekend preview, which I think will be nice to highlight things coming up. There's a new brunch coming up, things of that nature, concerts, and whatnot. So that's the brief overview. And, we're hoping to get that started as soon as possible. Any questions for me?
One comes to mind. So will you also be sort of monitoring social media to help respond to things? I mean, one of the things, Kara can tell you this better than any of us, we have our schedule of when we're going to push stuff out, but the public has their own schedule of when they want it, when something catches their fancy. And
Right.
Will you help monitor and respond to that, or how is that you, Barry, or the staff, or how will we? Because those tend to be the most,
But Mary has an answer to that.
yeah.
Yes, Mayor. Right now, the DDA staff monitors the social media postings and responds to those types of things. I would continue
So that'll
to
be
do
your
that.
staff versus cult?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
they're going to help
Yeah.
us develop some of the content and make it look good and put what we're pushing out so that the quality is there and the consistency, and then we'll monitor the post and respond.
Right.
The DDA staff will.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Because that's just, in my experience, has just been huge. And if you don't respond, then they tag me, and then I just have to call you because I don't know, so. Thank you. Any other questions, I'm sorry, for the gentleman from Pulp, from council?
No, thank you.
Great, all right. Well, thank you, appreciate it. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, so that was our second and last presentation this evening. So next item of business would be call to audience. And this is your opportunity, if you're here with us in the audience and you'd like to address council on any item that's not on the agenda, to come on up and give us your name, and 3 minutes is yours. Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sharon Chess, and I'm here on behalf of the Ferndale Community Concert Band. And Joe, strike up the band for me, please.
I'm not the maestro.
Da-da-da. Yes.
So that being said, and now that you're interested in attending, because of our promo video now attached to our webpage, we have grown by another 20 members, and we're up to 83 band members now. And we sound even more fabulous than we have all along, so I'm really excited. Our next concert is our hometown holiday concert. And that's on December 17th, Sunday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And as always, our concerts are free. This year, we're going to start an annual tradition, and we encourage everybody to wear their ugly holiday sweater or a tie and come and join us for the Christmas March with Santa. Santa will be attending our concert. And we look forward to starting a long line of traditions. So I hope you all come out on December 17th on Sunday at 3 o'clock to the high school auditorium. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I've said it before, but if you have a stereotype of what a local grassroots band is like, this ain't it. This is this is high class, first rate music, and I would encourage everyone to go out and support the band. Great, thanks, Sharon. Chief.
Thank you, Your Honor. I can't believe that football is playing second fiddle to the band again in Ferndale, but I'd like to, if you step forward, I'd like to introduce to you, this is Coach James Lewis. He is the head coach of the Ferndale Football Youth Association in Ferndale. It's a brand new organization that started about this time last year. I didn't give it a snowball's chance of succeeding, but much to my wife's chagrin, I got involved as well. Mostly because I promised that someday we're going to send someday these kids to the high school program, so that's probably why I got involved. Coach Lewis here started this program, and it's a Pop Warner football program for his youth football. They have 4 levels of football teams, and they also have for the young ladies, they have cheer and dance as well. So this year, outside of all expectations, Coach Lewis's squads, although 2 of them, the younger kids, were also champions in their own right, but he has brought his 14-year-old unlimited weight class to the Mid-American State Championship last week and won that by beating Kansas City 46-0 or 42-0? 42-0. Yeah, last week it was 46-6. Yeah. So anyway, he is having a great success. His Pee Wee team is that's Division I, by the way. His Pee Wee team, Division III, are also going to Orlando, hopefully, also competing in the national champions, as well as 2 of his cheer teams. So the young ladies are traveling to Orlando as well. Also, his kids are also, he has 5 of the kids are academic All-Americans. 7 of them are second-team academic All-Americans. So he has really been successful. What he has lacked in is foresight, and that is that nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw him going to the national championship, which is like a big deal. There's only 6 teams left. He's got a great chance of bringing the Ferndale Eagles back as national champions. What the problem is that we have come to find a fundraising issue because we don't have the funding to get these kids down to Orlando. The unfortunate part is because they've committed, if they don't get these kids down there, they will probably lose their charter next year and won't be able to compete at the Pop Warner level. So this is our, I bring forth Coach Lewis. If you want, he said he's more nervous now than he is being on TV. But this is a request from anybody in the community. There's a GoFundMe page. Anybody in the business community, anybody that can help these kids get down to Orlando next week, this is our plea for funding.
And how would they do that?
I'm sorry. How you doing today, Mr.
Good. Coach, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want me to put it up? GoFundMe page?
Oh.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
Right.
you can.
Yeah, Joe will find that.
Go,
Yeah, Joe can find that on the
You
computer.
can go our Facebook page, Ferndale Eagles.
Oh, okay. It's called Ferndale Eagles?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
We came. We wanted to name ourselves after the program. To basically, our program started at 5 years old, and when me and Coach Eric Royal, our crazy mind was kids be Ferndale Eagles from the time they 5 until they graduate high school.
I like that.
So that's what the whole name concept was.
Yeah.
When we started the program,
How do I have to log in?
I had no idea that we would have the kind of success that we had.
Right.
Even from the sheer numbers and the feedback that we received from the community has been awesome. You know, when people realized that we were dedicated as a group, the city of Ferndale, and I'm not just saying this because you're here with me, Chief Collins has been awesome. He's come out to our practices. The kids, you know, they know him. You know, we do, we call it no hungry. Don't go home hungry on Friday. So we, you know, cook for the kids. And at the games, nobody goes home hungry. I do that, me personally, because I don't know everyone's situation. So a lot of these kids come out, stay all day. And so we've gotten great feedback and great participation from the community, a lot more than I expected, because our 14U team, that they went completely 13-0, wiping the floor with everybody. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But I get you know, excited about what they did, and as far as in regional play. Regional championship consists of 9 states, and our Eagles, we put it like this: we scored 125 points, we only gave up 6.
That's amazing.
And
Amazing.
these are babies, you know. The problem is, as much success as we do as far as in the classroom, as far as tutoring the kids out of my own home, as far as providing, you know, a safe environment for them, again, which the chief helped me get, you know, the problem is, if we don't raise the money for the buses, the program, it'll end.
Yeah.
Because you got TV sponsors, and it came to a point where I had to commit. We won. Boys did what I knew they was going to do. The thing is that I have to weigh them in and check them in Friday. I can't. Just need help. Excuse me.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Sorry.
And Joe, this is the GoFundMe page, right? That they can find from the Facebook page Ferndale Eagles.
Yes, sir.
And so if you want to contribute to this wonderful group of young men and women on the other side, this is the place to do it.
If I may, Your Honor, if someone wanted to drop off a check, who would they make it out to, and could we take them here at the city to pass on?
It would be Ferndale Eagles, YAA, Youth Association, and you can contact Chief.
I'll take any checks.
Yeah.
I'm trustworthy.
Yeah.
Kara's laughing.
Excuse me, ma'am. Well, the issue is we've gotten hardships from Disney to where our kids are responsible now to only pay $390 for a week at Disney. That's just what a tournament is. The problem is our buses. Right now, Chief found us a bus that can do them both for $17,800. We got I'm waiting on an email back. Hey, what's up, Trey? We have a bus company that Chief turned us on to today that was at $17,800, but we had to reset on some dates. So I don't know if that price is going to go up or stay down or stay right there. That was the best price that we found. It was tremendously lower than what we found.
So you're talking $1,700?
No, $17,000, because we got to get 2 charter buses. Got to get 256 passengers because it's like 80 kids. It's 2 football teams, which all this will be live on ESPN3. Even if, one of y'all just want to watch and see our kids, ESPN3, in 25 minutes they do a program where they do like a big thing where they tell us who we're playing, even though I already found out. We play Colorado.
Right.
But that's
All right.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much where, we got to get I'm just trying to get the babies down there.
So we will do our best to get the word out about the GoFundMe page through the city's resources that we can, Kara, and to our own personal resources, and we'll see if we can't get those kids down to Orlando.
Thank you, Mayor.
Coach, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being
Thank
here.
you. I appreciate y'all listening.
Really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who wants to follow that? Anyone else from the public that would like to address council this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on in the agenda. And the next item of business is a public hearing, and this is something that we do annually, and that is our 2018 Community Development Block Grant funding designations. And so, Jordan, you want to introduce that item?
Sure, Mayor. I'll take the displeasure of following a great cause, and unfortunately, it's a shame there's too many federal restrictions on these dollars. Otherwise, it'd probably be a really great project we could put in this allocation. However, because that's not eligible, what I have before you is stuff that is. As you mentioned, this is our annual application. Typically, what we do with CDBG, we receive these dollars from the federal government through Oakland County. Another value that they provide to us is administering this program in addition to our annual allocation that we get from HUD. Oakland County over the top provides additional services such as the home improvement loan program. They do $100,000 to $200,000 a year in home improvement loans, low interest to low to moderate income homeowners and senior citizens. This is for our annual allocation, which is around $75,000. What we're doing, as we talked about for the past couple of years, as permit revenue has been high, we've been using that to cover the cost of code enforcement and using these funds for more traditional sort of CDBG community intervention projects. And so what we have before you today, in addition to a slight increase in the allocation for our typical yard services for seniors and low-income folks, as well as services for battered and abused spouses through an Oakland County contract with Haven, slight increases to those based on trying to reach additional residents of Ferndale with those dollars. We also are continuing the emergency services that we started with last year's allocation for subsistence payments to homeless folks for temporary housing. We're exploring a way to partner with the Ferndale Housing Commission on that as well. And then the big item here is tree planting. One of the things that we're looking to do, if you're familiar with the allocation for $17, we're using that resource for Wanda Park. In partnership with the Parks Department and the Park Bond resources, that money is going to go as a one-time windfall from CDBG for that park. We're going to build onto that. We're proposing to build onto that in the southeast corner of the city, focusing on increasing the tree canopy in that area and beginning a multi-year strategy to invest in that corner of the city, which we had our team pull some numbers of the census tracts in the city. That area has the lowest individual median income, the lowest individual housing values, and the highest rate of unemployment. And so we're going to start looking at ways that we can intervene. And because we're sort of in a perpetual state of applying and spending this money, now that when we submit this in, if council is comfortable with the allocation of programs that we have before you, what we're going to go to work immediately on is getting ready for next year's application so that we can take the time to look at other ways to layer additional resources, whether it's financial literacy courses with area banks and other types of interventions that we can do in this area of Ferndale, but also other low to moderate income census tracts in the city. So this is sort of the start of that. And again, I can answer any questions you have. The details are in your packet, but I am happy to answer any questions that you have or the public has on this.
Because before we do that, we have to have a public hearing. And so with that introduction to our CDBG allocations, I will open it up to the public and ask if there's anyone here that would like to address council on this CDBG allocation for 2018. There is anyone, so we will close the public hearing, and now I will open it up to council for any questions or comments that you might have. Councilman Martin.
Through the chair, what I don't see mentioned in this, and forgive me, I probably have asked this every year since I've been up here, with regards to these block grants, how do we do program evaluation? Are these entities required to report back to us on the success? Like, I've never seen anything back from Haven to say what impact our block grants have made.
Right, that's a great question, and I apologize. I actually I forgot to include that in your packets, but I do have numbers for Haven and Olsha. One of the things when I got here in August of 16, that was something I tried to make a priority with these two vendors in particular in terms of evaluation. So what I can say on the Olsha side of things, we looked at, so the primary services they provide are sort of yard services, so snow and lawn cutting and leaf blowing and things like that. And the way we've evaluated that is the number of homes and the price. And so we did some research looking at what private vendors would charge for lawn mows, for example, the private market, and just anecdotally, I don't have this exact report in front of me, but it costs you around $20 to $30 per lawn per cut. We get them for about $15 through Olsha. So it's a kind of unbeatable price. And we get good accountability through that. We've worked through them. Some of the early challenges were sort of delays and bottlenecks in reporting and deploying the funds. So we've been working on that, and that's been getting better a little bit each year. But overall, it's for the money. It's a pretty good value in terms of the chore services that are provided. And I can kind of quickly run through just some of those numbers. For example, that chore program I mentioned, there were 52 clients last year. And the value of those services, and again, we give Olsa $8,000 a year, or we give that money to Oakland County. They contract with Olsa. But the value of that service alone is $45,600.24. Then there's other things like there's Consumers Energy Matching Grants, DTE refrigerator replacement, home buyer education courses, and there's just a whole sort of litany of additional services that they do, and I can kind of go into more detail if you'd like. But in general, overall, across the entire spectrum of resources that Olsha provides, they helped 188 individuals in Ferndale for a value of just over $69,000. So it's a pretty good return on the investment, and they do get other sources of funds. We're by no means their largest source, but it's our way of paying in and getting a pretty significant return on that. And so we're always looking at number of utilization, as well as different ways that we can improve. One of the things we talked about for last year is we found out that our staff can actually help fill out the paperwork. That was one of the issues where there wasn't utilization because people didn't know how to apply, or they were afraid to come in and give their social security number over the phone and things like that. So our code team can actually go to that person's house, fill out the paperwork with them, and sort of make it easier. So we've been kind of looking at those different ways. On Haven, what I can tell you there is they served about 42 residents this year, and this is sort of 2016 to 2017. And the spectrum of services there, you had court advocacy. So in different cases, there were 10 of those. There were 16 domestic violence counseling cases, 6 cases of counseling for sexual assault, 10 personal protection orders, and the value of that service was about $9,000. And that's sort of Haven caseworkers working with these folks and providing them resources and expertise and advocacy, and we pay them $3,000. So
That's terrific. Sure. I think I have 2 asks of you then, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The first is, because I'm just that big a geek, if you could email me the detail, that would be helpful. And second, when this comes back up again next year, if it can be accompanied by an outcomes report.
Absolutely.
Just even for what the city administers and for these agencies, that would be perfect.
Will do.
Thank you.
And email that to all of us. Obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just assumed,
yeah.
sorry.
Other questions or comments?
I move to approve the community development block grant application for program year 2018 with the following breakdown: tree planting $52,351, emergency services $10,000, public service activity $9,000, and public service activity, the first part was yard services, public service activity, battered and abused spouses $4,000, totaling $75,351. And to authorize the mayor to sign the grants applications subrecipient
agreement.
Subrecipient agreement.
Yeah.
And
the conflict of interest certification.
Support.
Did you support? Dan? Okay. Moved by Polika and supported by Martin. Any other discussion on this item?
This is why I don't read motions.
All right, Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Polika,
Yes.
Leaks May,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Thank you, Jordan. Moving on now to the consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that council considers routine, and we enact in one motion unless council removes something from the consent agenda. So let me read that now. Item A is the shared parking agreement with Ferndale First United Methodist Church parking lot. Item B is the approval of the regular meeting minutes of September 25th, October 23rd, and November 13th. Item C is the approval of the IAFF collective bargaining agreement provision to close the defined benefit to all new hires effective December 4th, 2017, and to authorize the city manager to forward the actuary report to the police and fire board. Item D is the approval of the purchase and installation of the Avigilon security solution by DA Central in the amount of $21,790 from the account listed as submitted by our Assistant City Manager. Item E is the approval of the Build Institute contract for Ferndale Small Business Services. Item F is the approval of the Rust Belt venue contract for the Build program. Item G is the approval of the Brownfield capture payment for Frazard Buick Suburban Ford. Item H is the approval of the agreements for removal of traffic control devices and for the mayor to sign the agreements, and that council approve the funding to remove the remainder of the signal infrastructure for number 1367 and 1368 in the cost of $17,500 to the Road Commission of Oakland County to be charged to the Road Bonds Fund. Item I is the approval of the purchase of the E.J. Ward hosted FuelView 4 SAS MS QL version, okay, with associated equipment upgrades at a cost of $92,392.30, and to purchase the data plan for the second and third year for $6,419.78 and $6,612.38 respectively, and that the expense be charged to the General Fund Motor Pool Department Capital Outlay account. And finally, approval of the purchase of a Case SV340 skid steer loader from Southeastern Equipment Company for $54,485.52, and the expense be charged to the General Fund Public Service Capital Vehicle Purchase account. That is the last item, but are we missing a final item?
C, you need a correction that says police and fire board and pension board.
Pension boards, thank you. That's a good catch there.
And we are missing the bills and payroll.
Yeah, so I can almost say it by heart, but I think we're going to have to amend. Do we need to amend the agenda to add approval of the bills and payroll is approved as subject to the Council Finance Committee? Is that correct?
Correct.
So how do we, Dan, how do we need to do that? Do we need to first amend the agenda? Or can we just add that?
I think you could
item K.
amend the motion to approve the consent agenda to add that item.
Amendment yet?
All right.
I'm sorry.
We haven't
We
even
don't have
moved
an
the
amendment.
consent agenda.
Right.
So
No movement.
I will add an item K, which is to approve the bills and payroll, subject to the Council Finance Committee, as item K.
I have questions of clarification whenever that's.
Please, go ahead. Yep.
For item 7A, Joe. This is the request for council action for the parking agreement with the church. The hours here are from 4 p.m. to midnight. Why did we stop at midnight and not 2 a.m.?
We stopped at midnight to minimize the disruption of to the neighborhood, knowing that the lot location is on the corner of Leroy. It's adjacent to the neighborhood.
And to clarify the intent, is the intent for this to be parking for the valet service or just whoever wants to park?
Public parking.
That's
It's
for
meant to
public
be
parking.
public parking to accommodate the system as well.
All right. The term lists February 1st, 2018 to February 1st, 2019. Beyond that would be on a month-to-month contract rate. I don't see any reference further to that month-to-month rate. Is it the same rate of $1,300 a month?
Correct.
Month-to-month?
Correct.
All right. What happens if cars are left overnight?
Cars are left overnight. The church will notify us. The church would prefer that the city not tow, but Dan has given me language that the city could tow. We would have to install signage in order to enable that.
And that towing, I presume, would be at our expense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then on Section 8 or Number 8 of the agreement, the question of insurance comes up, and it defines the city of Ferndale to be responsible for taking out a policy of no less than $1 million. Do we have is that included in the rate on this agreement? I'm assuming it's not, but I could be wrong. So that's going to cost us some dollar amount for the insurance.
There'll be an additional amount.
Okay, do we have a sense of what that additional amount is? And is there another ask coming for the insurance policy? Or is it?
It was de minimis, and it was approved by our insurance
Kudos for using the word de minimis, first off.
Oh, I should be slapped for that.
That was excellent.
For many other reasons.
We it's price point, but it's
under your threshold of approval.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's well under the threshold, but we did have our insurance provider review this document.
Okay, great.
I should have included that in the cover letter.
Okay. My next question is for item H. It's to the removal of the signal infrastructure for 1367 and 1368. Where is that?
Are you ready?
That would be for me.
Yep.
If I may.
Please.
Clerk, quickly.
Oh, all right.
I gave the signal number in the memo, and the actual locations are in the agreement itself.
Yeah, I thought that I saw
I didn't
that.
see it. I'm sorry. It's my
Yeah, no,
back.
that's okay.
Livernois and Pearson, and also Fielding and Livernois, and two more, Livernois Avenue, Pinecrest, and Leroy and Pinecrest.
Livernois and Pinecrest
doesn't
don't intersect.
They run perpendicular. Or parallel.
And Lewiston
Yeah.
and Pinecrest? Okay.
They were in there because I noticed.
Yep, they're there. I'm
One's
sorry.
gone
That was
already.
mine.
Yeah.
And then lastly, item J, Lloyd, this is for you, for the folks at home. What exactly is a Case SV340 skid steer loader? What does that do for us?
Sounds impressive.
You don't know what that is?
I don't.
Piece of equipment we don't currently have. It may be utilized to eliminate other pieces of equipment if council approves of the purchase. Primarily, we intend to use it for clearing snow behind the delineators and the new bike lanes. It's a much more efficient and heavier duty. It's something that once you see, you'll recognize. Sometimes the brand name is Bobcat. They're one-man little vehicles. They're very squatty, and they have a large scoop on the front of them. Very, very heavy duty in order to remove snow that's been pushed there by the plows.
All right, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you said something that raised a flag for me.
Yes.
So when we approved the delineators, we were told that snow removal would not be a problem. So now are you coming back and asking for another piece of equipment because of the delineators?
Well, not necessarily. That is absolutely going to be used for that purpose, and we never anticipated that we would not be able to do it. But as we look at equipment purchase in the capital improvement plan, this is an item that we were already provided that we were going to purchase.
It was already in the pipeline.
Pardon me?
It was already in the pipeline to get one.
Yes.
We're not doing it for
And
the.
the idea is, though, because we haven't had one previously,
Yeah.
we want to use it for that. We also want to use it for the paths in the parks that
That.
we're now doing, because we want to keep those open during the winter.
That's what I was
And those
gonna
are the things that we were already planning for. It's ideal for tree planting. And so all of those other activities were already anticipated for the machine. What we hope, though, is that once we get it and we find the use for the attachments and the crews become trained on it, that we actually might be able to eliminate other tractors that are in a pipeline in the capital improvement plan, depending upon its versatility.
All right, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions of clarification on the consent agenda? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Close, but we'll say moved by Martin and supported by Leaks May. Now, discussion or other comments, questions? I will just express my appreciation to the Ferndale First United Methodist Church for being willing to loan us or lease us their lot during the construction of the DOT, which is very helpful. It's just another example of an organization in Ferndale stepping up in a very community-minded way to be of assistance at an important time. So thank you to all the folks from the church.
At a very nominal fee.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very generous and kind of them, and needed. So. All right. Any other comments or questions? Jordan.
Sorry, Mayor, Council. On item F, I just wanted to draw one minor change to your attention. In talking with the Rust Belt on the terms of the lease, they had requested that we put some language in there about a prorated amount in the event of we're going to be giving them these two payments, one at the start and one at the end of the contract. If for some reason Ferndale or Build were to terminate our partnership and end the agreement, they wanted some assurance that they would get paid for events that were executed but they hadn't received compensation for.
Okay.
They had given us the amount of $825 per event, which is far below their actual cost. So we didn't object to that. We inserted that in there under the rent. It's the last sentence in the rent section.
Okay.
And the updated agreement is in Marnie's hands for signature, but I wanted to make sure that was to your attention before approving the agreement as part of the consent agenda.
Because that language is not in the copies that we got.
Not in the copies you have, but in the one Marnie has for signing.
And has Dan seen it? So that's the main thing I care about.
The concept of that amendment was communicated to me by Jordan, and it seems reasonable. I haven't seen the language.
Do you want to see the language?
I think I understand the language.
Yeah.
It does seem reasonable and doesn't change.
Okay. I mean, it
the
seems
substance
reasonable.
of
I
the
understand what you're saying. I believe what you're saying. So, all right, if you're comfortable with that, thank you for pointing that out, however. All right, we have a motion and a support. So, Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Leaks May,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. So moving on now to the regular agenda, we have two items this evening. Item A is the consideration of the payment in lieu of parking application at 22925 Woodward Avenue, which has been calculated at 21 spaces with a one-time payment by applicant Brooks Brewing LLC of $78,000 to be paid in the city's parking fund as submitted by Community and Economic Development Director. Good evening. Jordan, you want to introduce this item?
Good evening again, Council.
Reintroduce this item, I should say.
Yes. So this, again, is Brooks Brewing Company, who would like to lease a space in Ferndale on Woodward near Treat Dreams. You may recall that they were before Council on September 21st with their payment in lieu check in hand. Per that policy that was adopted in 2016, because they did not have a site plan that met all the parking requirements on site, they were prepared to pay in lieu of providing that parking. So they were approved by the DDA on September 14th, and we had asked them, or Council had asked them, to seek out shared parking agreements. And Mr. Brooks can speak to that in a little more detail, but he had reported to us that he had come up empty on that due diligence effort. So we worked with him in that conversation, and essentially we brought him back for your reconsideration following that due diligence period. And Mr. Brooks, if you'd like to add anything to that.
Mr. Brooks, good to see you again, sir. So the conversation with the bank didn't go well.
Well, I didn't really get anywhere. Good evening, Mayor and
Good evening.
City Council members. I called the bank immediately, called them every week, and finally got the manager to talk to me. And she said she would take it up to a higher level, and kept calling back. And she finally said, well, I'm not getting a response from this person that's at a higher level who's in charge of this. And she gave me that person's name. And I called him 13 days in a row trying to get him to respond. He didn't respond, and then I tried a different avenue, and the person that I knew at Citizens Bank referred me to him as well. So I didn't really have an avenue there. I went up and down Woodward. I contacted Level 1 Bank, and they couldn't do it. I contacted Wright and Philippa, several other businesses that didn't really seem to be interested. I did contact a Lutheran church that's a little bit further, south and inward, and they were communicating with me for a while, but then they stopped communicating with me. And then I tried to get, I contacted 4 different valet services, and they said they wouldn't, do valet from that location. I tried other locations, like closer to Detroit. The most cooperative valet service was Star Tracks, and they said that they could provide the service, but they wanted me to get an agreement with Citizens Bank. That was their proposal to do the valet service. And, you can walk from the bank to, where the brewery would be.
Right.
So I came up empty,
Right.
But I did want to bring the council's attention to the parking study that was done in 2015. And I didn't make enough copies here, but I can certainly bring this up to you. And I don't know the background of that study, and I certainly wasn't present for any debriefings on what was involved in that. But, looking at what's within the four corners of that document, on the face of it, the study appears to indicate that on the peak weekend times, Lot 1, which is just, steps from where the brewery would be, it's only at 44% occupancy, and there's 49 parking spaces that are there available at peak time on the weekends. And during the week, it's only 14% occupancy at peak times, and there's 76 parking spaces there. And I don't have personal knowledge of this, but the landlord did, go out and look at the parking lot on the weekends and during the weeks, and confirmed that this report is consistent with what's happening in that particular parking lot. And so, I understand that in general there is a parking, issue in Ferndale, but it would seem, objectively looking at that report, that there is some adequate space that could accommodate, the microbrewery at that location. And so I really made an effort to try to secure a private agreement, and I just can't. There's not much in it for other people to really do that, especially big businesses. So I really tried, but came up short. And I think we have a unique business, and we'll bring. I think that we're certainly going to benefit greatly from locating in Ferndale, but we can bring something to Ferndale, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would reconsider our request to pay for parking in lieu of actually having parking.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else from you, Jordan?
No, sir.
No. Yes, sir. You own the building, correct?
Sorry.
You own the building, correct? Yeah, come on up. Good to see you again. Good evening.
Council persons. Dan Biber, I own the property that Mr. Brooks would like to rent, lease. At the previous meeting, this application was tabled, and the principal reason that was clearly given by Councilman Martin for withholding approval was concern about parking and traffic in the area. And he said to me, prove me wrong if you think my concerns are unfounded. Well, at the time, I was caught off guard because I really felt that the fact that the Planning Commission and the DDA, who are intimately knowledgeable about these affairs, had not felt these concerns warranted disapproval of this application. I was not personally able to respond.
May I respond to that? Only because I am on the Planning Commission, and I did raise it there. I just want to point that out. But again, that's water under the bridge. I think the due diligence.
I meant in their final.
Okay, I understand, but I want to correct that. But I think the due diligence exercised is really impressive here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I took the concerns very seriously, and in addition to analyzing this report, which was done in 2015, but the north lot, which the report, as Mr. Brooks cited, shows unused spaces way in excess of what his business would require. I just wanted to point out to council that the reason that that's so pertinent is that his business is the last business north that has anybody coming to it after in the evening hours and in the evenings on weekends. So that north lot is virtually at his disposal. Also, I'd like to address Councilman Martin's concern, valid concern about would this exacerbate traffic around the southerly lots and around Withington, which serves lots both north and south of Withington. But the good part about the north lot is that it's accessible not just by Withington, but by Breckenridge and even Camborne. So as I see it, the traffic congestion issue really is not one that would be of great concern. That's what I wanted to add.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, so nothing else from you, Jordan? No, sir. All right. So, council, any questions?
I have comments, not questions.
I have
Right.
comments, not questions.
So if they're all-
for
if it's all
purposes
that,
of-
then we need a motion.
For purposes of discussion, I'll move that the City Council approve the payment in lieu of parking application at 22925 Woodward Avenue, which has been calculated at 21 parking spaces with a one-time payment of the applicant Brooks Brewing LLC of $78,000 be paid in the city's parking fund, into the city's parking fund with the findings and conditions as outlined in the packet.
Support.
All right, moved by Martin and supported by Polika. Now, comments. Start with.
Want me to start?
Martin.
Okay. A couple. One, kudos on the research and due diligence on this. It makes me, I was excited about this kind of business coming to Ferndale to begin with, but the fact that you responded to our comments and went and did the research, I really, really appreciate that. On the other side, I would be hesitant to put too much weight on the 2015 parking study, because the concern and the reason for this, the payment in lieu of parking is what happens in 18 months where we close a central parking lot. It's not the current state of 2015, which you're absolutely correct. There's a ton of capacity on that West Breckenridge lot. But what happens for almost 2 years when we close the central lot? And the overflow from that. And that way far exceeds the number of spaces we're taking away as to the vacancy on West Breckenridge. And that's the context of the discussion, essentially. I'll be honest. I'm going to support this tonight because I'd like to see you come to Ferndale. I think the amount of work you've done, Mr. Brooks, to identify this has been very, very, I think, helpful and encouraging to me. And you're exactly the kind of business we want to do business with. So I appreciate all that and listening to our concerns, and I'll be supporting this tonight.
Other comments?
So, a couple years ago, when we voted to create this in lieu of parking requirement, I actually voted against it because I was actually in support of putting a moratorium on liquor serving establishments, because I was concerned with the lack of parking that we had at the time. And my request to you, sir, to pursue the bank lot was to, I was hoping it would work out so that you could add some spaces to an already very congested parking system. Like Councilman Martin, mentioned, in a few months, 6 months, we're going to be breaking ground on a parking structure, and we're going to lose 138 spots, and they're going to be filling up that parking lot. They will find it. So the reason I'm going to support this tonight is because we did make that agreement to create a program called In Lieu of Parking, and you met all the requirements. And there's no reason why I should not support something that we as a council supported, even though I personally don't agree with it. So that is why I'll be supporting it tonight, because you followed all the rules. You did all the work, and I really do appreciate you taking the extra effort of trying to find some extra spots. It just didn't work out that way.
Thank you. Other comments? Yes, yeah.
So really to echo Councilman Polika's responses is that, I was teetering just, a little bit regarding this business because for my own reasons. However, you did follow all the rules, and the reason why the parking payment in lieu came about, you followed that protocol. I do think we need more discussions as to what businesses we'd like to see on Woodward. I think we need to have those discussions, but because you did, and it was supported for the most part by council, I have changed my mind and decided to support it tonight.
Thank you. I'm also supportive of this application, sir. I'll echo what my colleague said about your due diligence, and we appreciate you taking that effort to do that. Disappointed that the bank was so non-responsive, but that's another issue. And I would also echo that you followed exactly what we meant to do when we created the payment in lieu. Now the question becomes, going forward, is that still the right policy? And I think we've had some internal discussion, and I think staff knows this, but I'll just, say for the public's edification, I would be less inclined to encourage applicants in this interim construction period to follow that, and we can clearly give people that kind of advice and counsel as they're navigating development projects in Ferndale, and so we'll do that. But I look forward to your business, and I think you'll be a great asset to our downtown. I think you'll like it here. I think we'll like you here, and we look forward to having you be here and be successful, sir. So, thank you. If there's no further discussion, Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
I look forward to a pint, and yes.
Leaks Bay,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Ferndale.
Good luck, sir. All right. Let me find my agenda, because we have one other item this evening. That is item B. There it is, the approval of amendment number 3 to the Great Lakes Water Authority contract, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign said agreements. And this is submitted by Lloyd Kirk. Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city currently has a long-term agreement with the Great Lakes Water Authority, formerly DWSD, to supply water to the city of Ferndale. Under the terms of the contract, every 5 years, the city may negotiate Exhibit A and Exhibit B of the contract. Exhibit A is not included in your packet as it pertains to detailed plans of the water system and has been eliminated from the public portion for security concerns. But Exhibit B is critical in setting water rates, and it's based on pressure, flows, and volume. So we did, as I bring that up, we did renegotiate the max flow rates per day. We brought them down. We felt that by making some changes to our 3 million gallon ground storage tank, that we could bring it within a range, and it would result in under the current formula, a $20,000 savings. And so we are making those changes, and that those tolerances will be much closer, but it's necessary because we did have some instances of exceedance that could have penalized our system. But looking at our daily flow, we were able to make adjustments, and we didn't receive any penalties, so no financial penalty, although we have made some technical enhancements to our system so that we can avoid that in the future. So it is my recommendation that council approve this third amendment to the contract and tonight so that we can finalize the agreement.
Great. Questions of clarification?
Through the chair, for section 5.11A, who are the quote-unquote parties specifically? Is it us and the Great Lakes Water Authority that are required to meet between October 1st and December 1st?
Yes.
And specifically, is that you? Is that the city manager?
Pardon me?
Specifically for the city, is that you, the city manager, the mayor?
Typically, the city manager is always informed, but typically it's me, key personnel, and almost every time it's also our engineering consultants from Hubbell, Roth, and Clark, who's been our long-term engineer for the water system.
So who's then is responsible for initiating that meeting? Is it the Great Lakes Water Authority or us? Because this has got the feel to me of a bit of a gotcha clause. If we don't have this meeting, we fall back according to the contract to the allocated flow rate, which would be detrimental to us as far as that looks. So are we responsible for setting that up? Are they? Have we done it for this year?
They are always very aggressive in their timeline.
Okay.
We've never had a problem with them. But the way that I understand it, it would be both parties' responsibility. I think that language is there in the event that we fail to meet with them.
Okay. So that's to protect against us not sitting down.
Right.
I see.
And if I may, too, I neglected to mention that your copy in the packet is labeled a draft.
Yeah.
It's labeled a draft, and the final copy, there's 2 copies for the mayor to sign if approved, is not labeled a draft, and it includes Exhibit A.
So the maximum flow rate, it looks like from the packet, is calculated based on previous usage, or your estimate based on previous usage, or somebody's estimate.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we take into consideration the large amount of development the next 2 years brings us? And are we comfortable with that maximum flow level is going to accommodate all of that?
Ferndale's problem is a good problem to have. I mean, we're looking at a very evolving system. It's unusual where some of our peak flows are. You would expect some of the peak flows to be midday, lunchtime, and that sort of thing, and it's actually a slower period of time for the city. And so, although our daily flow rate or annual flow rates are creeping up just a little bit as the economy recovers, we're having problems that have resulted in a couple of those exceedances, and we've made modifications to the controls with our hourly maximum peak flow. And so looking at all the historical data and the development that's on the books currently in Ferndale, I gave it some great consideration before we lowered that max day from 3.1 million to 2.8.
All right, thank you.
Other question or a motion? Is there a motion?
I'm looking.
Go ahead if you have it.
I move that the amendment number 3 to the GLWA contract be approved and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign said agreements.
Support.
Moved by Leaks May and supported by Martin. Now, any comments, questions, concerns?
Nice job on the savings, through the chair.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, Marty, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Polika,
Yes.
Leaks May,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Next item of business is call to council. Police chief, anything else for the good of the community this evening?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would request a resolution of condolence to the family of Deputy Eric Overall, who was killed in the line of duty Thanksgiving evening. If so moved, I would provide that information to the clerk for your signature.
Absolutely. If you can get that to Marty, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
And I know Councilman Martin probably doesn't want the recognition, but it was a very generous contribution he made to the football program a minute ago.
Oh,
thank you.
Excellent. Lorena, anything from the Recreation Department this evening?
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so a couple things to report on what we're doing in Parks and Recreation and what we just completed and where we're going. So we just ended a few weeks ago our adult softball league, and it was very successful. At the end of every sport or event, we're now doing surveys to get feedback from the participants, and the feedback was very positive, and it also came back so well, and we had a great league that we're expanding our league next summer. So we're going from having to hold it at one park to increasing our capacity to having to hold it at 2 parks. We also received a Good Sports grant recently, and what that grant is basically an equipment grant. So they get a lot of new equipment donated from different foundations and different funding sources, and then they issue grants to different municipalities such as the city of Ferndale, who can go on their website and select sporting equipment to use for free, to have. And the only match is for shipping. So it's a 2-year grant, and we're able to make 6 orders, unlimited amount. So we're really excited about that. That will really help improve our programs with some of the equipment that we need for our youth baseball and so on and so forth. So we're really excited about getting that grant. Basketball, our Ferndale Eagles Basketball League will be beginning in January. So registration is open now, but the good news for us is it's almost full. So if anybody's interested in registering, this is the time, even though registration ends in December, but once it's full, it's over. We also started a lot of new programs under our basketball league. So one is the Skills and Drills Clinic, which is for all those that are registered in our program. It ended this past Wednesday, and it basically gives all of the participants an opportunity to learn how to play in the league, work on their skills before the actual league begins. And so we had a great turnout. We plan on trying to implement this before every youth sports program. We also implemented our coaches clinic, which will be starting this Wednesday. All of our coaches are volunteers, and so this will give them the opportunity to actually meet with an experienced coach and learn different techniques, drills, and how to deal with the children and how to get them to really play the game and learn more about the game. Just give them tips. Some people may be veterans and some people aren't. So this is a good opportunity for all the coaches to be able to just up their skills a little bit and work with the kids better. One of our newest things that's very exciting is we started a youth officials clinic, youth officials program. And what that is we work with the Ferndale High School, and we work with them to help recommend students to the program, and we are training them to be officials. So now these students have the opportunity to be entrepreneur. So they can pick however many games they want to officiate or make however much money they want to make. So they are officiating our Little Eagles basketball league games.
Great idea.
Yeah, we're actually sit on the board of the Ferndale Youth Assistance, and they granted us $350 to go towards that program as well. That's not all. So in that program, we who's leading the officials clinic to teach the kids is actually the former WNBA player Stacey Thomas. She played for the Detroit Shock. So it's her organization that's training the kids, and it's going over very well. And lastly, dealing with basketball, we will be holding a basketball camp during the holiday break. So it will be 3 days from December 27th through December 29th. And it's open to anybody who wants to leave their kids with us to learn how to hoop. Last thing I have to report is this Saturday is Breakfast with Santa around the world. So come, register. It's going to be a great time. We have Santa who's coming, and I think you guys will love Santa. And we will be, Breakfast with Santa is different this year because, again, it's around the world. So we're featuring 4 countries. And so it'll give the kids a perspective of Christmas from different countries. So they're doing a different craft that represents that country in each room, as well as have breakfast with Santa and have pictures with Santa. So they get goodie bags. They get to create these crafts that'll be timeless that they can take home and decorate their Christmas tree year after year. They'll get, again, the pictures with Santa and much more. We also have a pancake station, so they can soup up their pancakes a little bit.
What time is that?
It's from 9.
Hello, pancake maker.
It's from 9 to 12 this Saturday at the Kulik Recreation Community Center.
And how much is it?
It's $4 for adults, and it's $12 for kids under 12.
Wait, what? $4 for adults and $12 for kids?
I'm sorry. $8 for kids, $4 for adults. So $12 for a family of 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the 4 countries that we'll be highlighting this year is Mexico, Australia, Germany, and Greece.
Very cool.
If I may, through the chair, for the basketball winter skills camp, what were the ages for that? Was that for all ages, or was it just for the younger kids?
It was for all ages. We have 3 teams, kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd through 4th grade, and 5th through 6th grade.
Okay.
So 6th grade is your cap out for age?
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't bring Greg and drop him off.
No.
Okay. 6th grade is camp.
Awesome. Just one thing for you. You don't know this yet, but I sent you an email that was forwarded to me, and I sent it to you in April. Just FYI, I don't know this gentleman, but somebody who's interested in playing soccer in our parks. So just be on the lookout for somebody who has a soccer league that he wants to bring here. So.
Okay, is it adults or? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Just make you aware of it. I don't know if it's worth anything, but just
Is it
know,
Dan
know
Gilbert?
that it's coming. It's not Dan, it's not Dan Gilbert. Although if he wants to come talk to us, he may. Thank you, Lorena.
All right,
a lot
thank
of good
you.
stuff. Appreciate it. Thank you. What's good at the fire department, Chief? Chief Sullivan.
Well, Your Honor, over Thanksgiving, we had a fire that we assisted with in Hazel Park. Not sure what the cause was. I haven't heard from their fire marshal yet. And then we just had a fire tonight in Ferndale, and in both cases, a cat was lost. Sorry, Kara. And the one tonight was just discovered by the fire marshal that they were burning incense or sage and didn't have any proper thing. When he went to put it out, he must have brushed it accidentally into a trash can and set a trash can on fire. So along with cooking for the holidays is a high number of house fires caused by cooking. Any kind of religious or ceremonial candles and burning should be done in devices that can contain if the thing falls over or fails, and not allow it out of a glass container or a metal container. That prevents it from falling to a floor, into a trash can, or catching combustibles on. And also, this is a dual property, and just recently inspected by our CED department, and they had all the smoke alarms working. And the gentleman upstairs was home, heard the smoke alarm, went to a stairwell, smelled smoke, saw some light smoke, called us, and we were there in time to knock it down before it burnt the whole building down.
Excellent.
So, smoke alarms, buy yourself one for the holidays or a couple. NFPA recommends one inside, door closed, one outside the door, in every sleeping place in a facility of any kind. And the more you have, the more chance you have of being alerted to a disastrous fire in your residence. So with that, be careful during the holidays.
Is there some sort of thing about smoke alarms that the battery has to start alerting you at 3 a.m.? Do they ever at
Actually,
3 p.m.? Never, right?
We kind of programmed yours to do that. No. they always go off at extremely weird times.
Always.
And if they're over 10 years old, just pitch them and get a new one. Even if it's working, because they have about a 10-year life expectancy on them.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, and you can now get them with 3, 5, and 10-year batteries in them.
Yep.
But you still need to test them, and testing them would be to smoke. You can buy cans of fake smoke and blow it up, or just light a piece of paper and let the smoke go to it, and then you should be able to just wave and clear it, and it should stop.
Right.
That's a functioning smoke alarm.
Yeah. And I don't mean to make light. Thank goodness they had it, and great job as always, Chief.
Yeah, and just one more mention, big shout out to the Oakway Mutual Aid, because these fires are starting to work like all of us work for the same fire department. And it is really a comforting thing to know these people will be there. During this fire, we got a request for mutual aid or medical out on the expressway from Michigan State Police. They were on the edge of Pleasant Ridge and Oak Park, but they requested us to get a rescue down to them. And we were able to send our rescue with a Madison Heights engine backing them up. So it's really an important thing to have the mutual aid system, and it's functioning extremely well.
Great. Thank you, Chief. And question?
I do have a question for you. Does our fire department offer any kind of services to the elderly or mobility challenged, testing fire detectors or smoke detectors?
We'll send someone out to install and check, and if they are having financial trouble in that, we have from the Red Cross program is the currently one we're in with the union and the city fire department and the Red Cross have a detector or alarms that we give to the people, and if they can't, we'll install them.
Okay,
So they should just call the fire department?
Yes.
Yep.
Just call our general number. And then we also have, I just
Not
told
911.
people in Pleasant Ridge during the voting, I noticed a lady was on oxygen when I went to vote. And she said, yeah, I'm always worried I'm going to run out. And I said, we have extra tanks, and I have cascade systems installed for emergency management at both fire stations. So we can refill tanks, and we have 30 or 40 reserve tanks with our markings on them, so we can swap your tank out. So I told them about that, and then PR contacted us to put it in our the Ridge or a newsletter for the city. So I want to extend that to Ferndale people. We are there to cover you. If your power goes out, even if it's just your house lost power, we can keep you in oxygen and prevent you from having to move to a powered area unless you want to, but we do have spare tanks and people that are on oxygen.
So I have
It's
no
extremely
idea, and
important.
I'm looking at Kara now and saying that's probably worth a message at some point. I did not know you offered that service. That's wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Chief. I didn't mean to skip if there's anything parking related this evening. Oh, and he's got something too. All right.
All Ripley's.
No, every once in a while. Usually when I remember to ask. That's good.
Just a reminder to residents in the residential permit only, RPOP or the RPZ, to please contact us for renewing your permits. That's really all there is.
Are they technically expired?
They technically expired. The program was set on an end of summer.
Yep.
We had some delays getting the renewal process running rather smoothly.
Okay. But it's time now.
It is time.
All right.
Refresh my memory, they need a driver's license, or can they use like a water bill?
Any identification that shows, well, any form that shows that, yes, you do live there. So water bill's fine, and registration for any of the two vehicles that you want specific permits for.
Okay.
Good. Good reminder. Thank you. Jordan, anything else from Community and Economic Development this evening? Excellent.
The build services, which you approved tonight, thank you, and that Barry talked about earlier, are kicking off with an event at Rust Belt Market on December 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's called Open City. It'll be the first of 3 such events in 2018. This one's going to be focused on kicking off our efforts. We're going to have a resource center where Oakland County will be there, Michigan Works, all sorts of different providers of small business support services will be there. We're going to have a panel talking about sort of what it is to start a business and sort of the ins and outs, ups and downs, and just a general place for people to gather and learn about all the different things that Ferndale has that make us open for business. So come out again. It's December 6th, 6 to 8 p.m. It's all on social media, and you can certainly call the CED department at 248-546-2363. Again, that's 546-2363 if you have any questions about it.
Great. Thank you. It's going to be a great program and a good evening. Kara, anything for the good of the community this evening?
Apart from the fact that I just sent you links to all of the publicity for things we've talked about tonight.
Excellent. Lloyd, anything else? I know you got one exciting announcement.
By 2 o'clock today, the DPW office received over 100 phone calls on, guess what?
Leaves.
Leaf collection. Yes, good guess.
We get a few ourselves.
Exactly. And so, looking at the long-term weather, meeting with the crew even before those phone calls, the city does have the ability to extend our leaf collection an additional week. What the intent is, this week was the normally scheduled week to complete curbside leaf collection. That would have been the west side of Woodward, the final collection. What we're proposing is next week, December the 4th, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we would finish the west side this week and move over to the east side and perform collection on the east side for those 3 days. At the end of which, we would bounce back to the west side for the following 3 days, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, pardon me. So the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The following week would be the last opportunity that residents would have to bag leaves for their normal refuse collection. I believe that the crews will be able to do it. It is obviously contingent upon the weather.
Yep.
If we had ice or snow that we would have to plow, which is not predicted. In previous years, we've actually had to plow the leaves back into the yard, something we definitely don't want to do. So we're going to try to provide some enhanced service to the community.
Excellent.
I think we'll be successful based on the weather forecast.
The forecast now looks good, so no snow for the next week is what we're looking for. Thank you. Appreciate it, and I know the residents appreciate that as well. We've been getting a number of calls and emails about that.
We'll be providing all the details to Kara so we can make some announcements.
And I will just say it's an extra, I don't want to say burden, but it's more challenging on your guys, and so I appreciate their flexibility. Mother Nature threw us a little bit of a curveball this year, and it is challenging our DPW department because they've got to get ready to do the snow plowing, which people also expect when Mother Nature decides to do that. So thanks and kudos to you guys.
Just one further point of clarification. Once the truck makes its final pass on your street, not this week, but next week, that will be it. And so, we'll have no time to come back.
Yep.
And so please use this weekend to get the leaves out, and we will do our very best to collect them.
Thank you, sir. All right. Joe, anything from the Assistant City Manager's office this evening?
Yeah, I'll just take this opportunity to reiterate one more time to make sure that when you do come downtown next week for the Holiday Ice Festival, to try our new downtown valet that we're offering for this one opportunity, last opportunity in 2018. We're testing it. It is located, the valet pickup stand is located in the Withington lot in the alley. So if you drive downtown West 9 Mile, you will go down Planavon right by the DDA station where all the event is happening, and then you can just drop your car off at the free valet stand, and they will take care of it for you, and you can pick it up right there where you left it off, and enjoy your time downtown.
Excellent. Great reminder. Thank you, sir. Marnie, anything from the clerk's office this evening?
Nothing.
Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right. April, anything from the city manager's office?
No, just a friendly reminder that due to the holidays, our normal schedule for council meetings is shifted. So for the month of December, we only have a regular council meeting on December 18th. Typically, it's the second and fourth Monday of each month, but this time it's just December 18th. So those of you who are avid viewers, please note to put that in your calendar for December 18th.
Excellent. Dan, anything?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Martin.
This Saturday is World AIDS Day. We don't hear a whole lot about the epidemic anymore because the level of treatment that's available, but it's still crucially important to get tested. There is a World AIDS Day event going on at Affirmations this Saturday from noon to, 3 p.m., where Matrix Human Services, which is a human services agency that has a significant office in Ferndale, actually, will be doing testing for HIV, AIDS, and other STDs. And if you go, and they have all kinds of other stuff going on, that's not all that's going on there, but if you wear a red ribbon, you'll get a special prize. I don't know what that is, but stop by Affirmations this Saturday from noon to 3. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Leaks May.
Nothing tonight.
All right. Councilman Polligan.
Nothing tonight.
All right. And everything has been covered as far as what I had as well. So I guess with that, our meeting is adjourned.